I'm joined by Dr. Richard Scott, as ever. Hello, Richard.
Andy, very, very good to see you. And particularly good to see you, as usual, wearing that lovely T-shirt.
Yes, it has been on for a while. It's starting to want to go to the washing machine, but it's fine. It'll last a bit longer. It's okay. Look, it's not smelly vision, so it's fine.
Exactly.
Do you remember they tried this in magazines? Because you could get you could scratch the magazine page and you smell the perfume.
You remember that? Yeah, bizarre idea.
I'm not sure that was ever going to take off. And funnily enough, it did not. I do remember, completely random and nothing to do with what we're going to talk about, a Saturday morning kids TV show. And they put something in a magazine that you could buy and they promoted it. And then when they were on the TV doing stuff, they could say, right, scratch this palette and we can all smell what this food or whatever it was going to smell like. Trying to create like a 4D TV experience. It didn't work. That's all I'm going to say. Right, Richard, a GP for many years and now retired and looking forward to a new way of doing things. And I just wanted to quickly talk about the retiring part and the way that you described it, because you referenced it as retiring, RETYRE, putting some fresh tires on for something new, which I loved.
Yes, well, I mean, I'd be honest, that wasn't my. I didn't invent that one. But when I first heard it some years ago, so well before I retired, I thought, that's very good, because that's someone intentionally saying this car is not stopping. It needs some new tires, and off it goes. Whether it's the same direction or a different direction, it's simply new tires. We're not stopping. We're not shutting up shop.
My brain, I don't know where my brain is today. I could be studied. I think it'd be interesting. But I'm just remembering an advert with some people who somehow found themselves on an aircraft carrier. I don't know how this happened with the advert. And then they suddenly got to the front and they had all the tires changed or something, and they were put on the catapult and fired off the front of the ship. I can't remember what the advert was for, but that image of the tires and stuff sticks in my head.
Very good, very good. But I have to say, it's important if we take the tire analogy a bit further. I mean, my wife needed a new tire to get through the MOT a couple of weeks ago, and actually, if you don't change your tires, you are in trouble. So perhaps it's something that we all need to look at, whether or not we're stopping work or whatever. That how are we doing? How are we doing with the Lord? Are we getting stale? Do we need new tires? The analogy I think works beyond simply retirement.
Yes, and I discovered aquaplaning, which is the random thing years ago. Small car, not bad tires, but hit some really, really deep water. All of a sudden on the motorway, my steering wheel was doing absolutely nothing, which reminded me the importance of having good tread. Now, they were quite new tires. However, there is a limit to the tread depth on your tire, how it can affect your life in a positive way. And if we don't give it maintenance and due care, we will end up sliding off the side of a motorway. So as you're coming to retirement, it's a good idea. Check the tread depth.
Absolutely. So we won't extend it too much further, but I think it's analogy. Just don't let the car just come to a shuddering halt. No. And so that's the challenge.
Cool. Let's move away from that analogy to something slightly better with you. What would you like to talk about to us today?
Well, my brother-in-law, who's Dutch, so my sister married a Dutchman and lives in Holland, and he rang me very excited last week. So it's right up to date, and he's very techie. And his current project is how AI, so artificial intelligence, might help doctors and GPs in particular. What did I think? So that's where I'm going to go today. We'll look at AI and medicine. I might say my first thought was you're talking to absolutely the wrong person, because I'm not particularly techie and I've just retired. So that's two good reasons it's not the right person to talk to. However, it did get me thinking. So actually I got thinking, began to look it up a bit. I'm very aware that there are some of my colleagues, not least where I've been working in Margate, who are much more technically adept, already using AI to the benefit of patients. So I thought I'd look into it. I'm leaving aside the ethics, because I have to say the ethics is a subject in itself, and we might look into that because the Christian Medical Fellowship have really gone to town on looking at into the ethics of AI, because it's massive and a big issue. But I can look at the good sides and bad sides, leaving aside ethics, and I thought we'd just have a little look at that tonight. And I know you've got some many thoughts on the subject, so
one or two.
There we go. Let me start off, and then you can carry on. And I hope what we come up with will be of interest to people listening in. So I thought what I would do is start off with with a summary, if you like, and then go the other way towards the specifics. And the summary is really one paragraph summary is there's absolutely no doubt that AI is rapidly transforming medicine in terms of diagnosis, in terms of treatment, and I might say in the discovery of new drugs. just today, before coming on air, I was looking at the news, and there's 2 new antibiotics which have been produced effectively through AI alone. Now, it's going to take a few years for them to be able to be prescribed for patients, but these things should be really good against current multi-drug resistance, which is, of course, the massive issue in medicine. I might say massive issue for mankind. And AI is at the forefront of finding new drugs. So we'll come to that in a second. But essentially, AI is very good for diagnosis, treatment, discovering new drugs. It's very good at analyzing complex data, much faster than humans can do so, if you like, identifying patterns that can improve patient outcomes. So that's all good. Here's a few specifics. So imaging, X-rays, CT scans, MRI, they're much quicker at it than we are. Now, currently, when I was still working, I could order an MRI scan. It would take weeks to happen. It would then take at least 2 weeks for the result to come back to me. And the patient, is waiting for the scan, waiting for the result. And usually, more often than not, you're asking because of cancer. So it's taking a long time. If AI can do it much, much quicker, and they can, much faster, that's great. And secondly, not only are they quicker, they're better at it. They spot things, AI spots things on MRIs that the human eye doesn't. So for example, cancer, heart conditions, eye conditions, particularly good AI at spotting eye conditions, which the human eye can miss. And therefore, putting those 2 things together, if you get them to AI to do these things, it frees up humans to do other stuff. So there's an extra benefit. So those are the sort of 3 initial benefits just from scans. Then there's this very new thing coming out, which is taking over medicine, which is called personalized medicine. In other words, AI analyzes patient data to predict which treatment will be most effective for a particular individual. So you don't just say, oh, cancer of the bowel, here's your treatment, just bringing on my personal issues from the past. It's cancer of the bowel, oh, in this particular patient, go through all the data, this is what will suit you best. So that will produce what we call personalized and targeted therapy. So that's good. Drug discovery, we've already mentioned that. Drugs take years to be discovered through traditional methods. And last time I looked, at least £300 million is spent before a drug, because so many drugs are produced and then discarded, will be of any use to mankind. It's an enormous time and an enormous expense. AI will do it much quicker and cheaper. Surgery. We know that robotics are used, prostate surgery. They're 10 times as accurate, the robots, as even the best human surgeons. So that's fantastic. Admin. This is good news. They can deal with routine tasks. So, think about how slow it is to book an appointment at a GP, register a patient at the GP. They can do all this stuff quicker. Again, freeing humans up to do other stuff. This is a good one. Translation, of course. We have so many foreigners in our patch in Margate. Didn't used to be the case when I started 25 or so years ago. Massively the case now. Translation and communication, AI is better. They can do stuff remotely, so clinicians can be at home, and they can do surgery through AI in Bangladesh because AI helps you to do it. And just to think in the future, prevention. They'll be good at identifying individuals at high risk so they can prevent things better and intervene earlier. I've already mentioned sort of personalized treatment, also personalized health advice, so patients can manage their own conditions better. And decision making, they can give clinicians some insight and recommendations. So that's just a sort of brief summary, but that's a huge amount of input that AI can produce. Right, what about downsides? So here's a few challenges. And the biggest one, which I hadn't predicted, is data privacy and security, data misuse, confidentiality. These are big issues, whether it's just mistakes by AI or people manipulating AI to get hold of someone's data, which I suspect will also be the case. So data privacy seems to be number 1. Number 2, AI may be very clever, but they're not infallible. And they can absolutely get things wrong, which is called bias, which would thus perhaps exacerbate someone's health issues, not improve it. Thus, we need human expertise still. If you like, AI augments humans but doesn't replace us. I might say my wife, I was just on the phone to her earlier, said that she just heard something today, which is that another downside is that we can lose skills. So if you get AI to look at all your colonoscopy results and just rely on what they say, even if they're right, humans will become less good, obviously, at looking at colonoscopes because you're not doing it. and then the ethics. So we've got data privacy. They can get things wrong. They're not infallible. We still need humans to keep an eye on the whole thing, and we can lose skills. Ethics, perhaps we'll do another day, because that's a massive thing, not least for Christians. So before I bring you in, Andy, what I thought I'd do just one last thing, of course, because this is a Christian radio station. What does Scripture say? And of course, this is an emerging field. Now, the Bible clearly doesn't mention AI specifically, but it does teach us wisdom. It teaches us that we must steward resources well. It teaches us ethics. Not least, we must respect human dignity. And that, of course, should be applied to the development of AI and the use of AI. So Scripture, very important in terms of wisdom, stewardship, and ethics. But here's a good thing, which again I hadn't predicted. AI can really help with Bible study, interesting, and insights into biblical texts. So you need to oversee it, but it can provide information in all areas, and that includes Bible study. But it could, if you're not careful, misinterpret Scripture, and we could become too dependent on it. So again, a bit like students just, cheating and using AI to write their essays for university, we mustn't just say, oh, just write me a sermon. A, will become de-skilled, and B, are you sure AI is getting it right? So it's that interplay between humans and computers, if you like. But I remember listening on the radio some months ago, someone from Wycliffe Bible translators saying, actually, AI is speeding up translation of the Bible into, languages which don't have the Bible. So that's, again, a good thing from AI. So I guess overall, it's emerging, it's complex. We must always, and this is for the Christian angle, we must always use AI, like any tool, to honor God and promote the well-being of humanity. So if it's a tool that can enhance things, great. If it can enhance our understanding of the Bible, great. But remember, it is not the be-all and end-all, and it doesn't have to be a threat, but it can be. So wisdom, as ever.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Perhaps I could go and chat to Trevor Stammers about the ethics of this one. Data privacy, actually, I've got another one, is lack of personal preferences from a human being, because we've recently signed up for a GP. We said explicitly, do not call us ever. If you want to contact us, write us a letter or email us. What do? Picked up a phone and rang. Now they've blocked their number. Why? I don't want a phone call. I work in media. Leave me alone. I would be more concerned about AI thinking, don't care, because it has no compassion. We can't even get a human being who put a post-it on a computer screen to do it. So I don't think we're going to get AI to do that. But the bigger one for me then is the data privacy, because there's a joke. It's going around. It's been around for a while. But I was sitting there and I was chatting, and my husband was saying, oh, what are you being silly for? There's no such thing as people listening. And he laughed and I laughed and the kettle laughed and Alexa laughed and the fridge laughed and the coffee machine laughed. And the thing is, it's quite chilling, because here's the thing about your Alexa, your smart speaker. We have one. It's brilliant. It's always switched on. Mm-hmm. We think it's not, but it has to be switched on, because if it isn't always switched on and actively listening, it can't hear you when you do call it. So it's always recording. And if Amazon are honest, when they do say what's going on, they'll tell you, actually, yes, we do record things and we do listen to what you're saying, because we need to make sure that the voice recognition is hearing what you're actually saying. And that's just a smart speaker. We're not talking about data privacy here. So there's an awful lot. And the infallibility bit definitely concerns me. I mean, let's just go to the loss of skills, which is the one that really bugs me, actually, more than everything else. I had an ECG. I mean, you can help us a bit understand this. I had an ECG. It's a big, long trace. It was 7 days long. Somebody somewhere has to physically look at that trace of lots of uppy, downy bit thingies going on. Oh, yes, that's a good heartbeat. That node's working well. And in my case, they found there was this problem or not that problem. AI, I'm sure, could do that very well. But if AI does that, how does a surgeon or a consultant or a nurse or a specialist, they're not going to be able to do it as well. So how would they normally, just that one process, how normally does an ECG get read?
Well, when you have the 3-day or the 7-day ECGs, you get a summary as well. So yes, indeed, fortunately, a machine looks through every single heartbeat, because there's a lot in a day, let alone 7 days.
Yeah.
and you can pick out areas of abnormality. So in a sense, we're using machines already to look at them and make our job easier. And they can tell you, what proportion of abnormal beats there are, how many ectopics, how many runs of VT or ventricular tachycardia or VF or anything else, or AF going on. So already we've got the use of that. But I think it's so important because you've got someone needs to interpret it. What matters, what doesn't? Is this serious? Is it not? And yes, I'm not getting de-skilled. I think that's a very real area. Rather than say to a robot, "Oh yes, you do all the prostate surgery." Yeah, but what if it's particularly difficult or something goes wrong and you need to step in? Don't get de-skilled.
An interesting one for you. This is definitely a score for the GP against the paramedic. Not that we're pitting one against the other. I went to my GP, this is years ago. I had quite a severe version of atrial fibrillation, heart rate, I don't know, north of 200. It wasn't great. My GP, when I went in, I said, look, something wrong. I don't think it's right. It feels to be beating really hard. Okay, sit down, had a look, had a quick listen, lie down, please don't move. He said, this is AF, classic atrial fibrillation from a little ECG. He then calls for an ambulance to get me to hospital. The ambulance arrives. Paramedic says, nah, doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not AF. We'll rush you there anyway. Get to the hospital where the consultant says, wow, this is severely AF. Who called this one? The GP. Well done, that man. I'm glad he spotted it. And I thought, well, that's down to a skill set of somebody who knows, literally, he picked up a piece of paper and said, AF. That's a skilled person.
Sure. No, and we mustn't lose it. As ever, they've got to be a tool. And whilst they can be a threat, they don't have to be a threat, but we need to be aware that they are a tool. It's not the tail wagging the dog.
And I think just on a really basic point, Andy Brown in our magazine talks about AI. It's part of his job to understand and develop where can we use AI in his industry. So he's really much further ahead of my understanding of the whole thing. But I was doing a really simple exercise, and I'm going to apply this into medicine in a minute. But somebody wrote me something all in capital letters, and I thought, it's only a title. It's like 17 words or something. I don't want to retype this out by hand. Now, I know there are things you can do, but I generally go to a website, punch it in, say to the website, get rid of the capital letters, and it does it for you. This time, it came up with loads of questions. Do you consent to your data being used? All these ways. And I just thought, this is stupid. I don't need to have people reading my data to convert letters. I went on to Grok, which is the AI platform on X or Twitter, and I said, please convert this into lower caps, did it immediately, and I took it away. Now, I know AI Grok is going to be looking at me, but it's not selling my data, which the other one was fairly honestly saying, we're selling your data. It was easier, it was quicker, and it did what I wanted. In medicine, it can, but here's the thing about AI people, it's still written by human beings, which means it's not perfect.
Good point. That's a good point. Yes, indeed.
I mean, we have this idea of what AI, if you've watched Terminator films, you think it's going to take over the world, and you watch The Matrix, it's going to take over the world. And do you know what? AI is still powered by electricity, and when the electricity goes off, the AI stops working. Doctors don't.
Yeah, indeed. That's a very good point.
When I started preaching in a church, I had a tablet. I'm going to be digital. This is going back 8-9 years. I'll use a tablet. It's digital. It's modern. Do you know what? It crashed the first time I used it. I couldn't do very well.
That's why I don't use a tablet.
I never used one ever since. I print it out, and people said, "What a waste of paper." Not really. Paper doesn't crash. My pencil doesn't crash.
Yes, quite. Absolutely. Yeah. Very good.
I mean, the data management, I think there's some really good stuff. I wrote some code. I don't write computer code. I haven't got a clue. I got AI, Grok again, to write some code. I wanted to create something very complicated. It cost me hundreds of pounds. It did it in about 20 seconds. Now, I think there are some really good applications of AI, and like anything else, you're going to get really good core stuff, and then there's going to be the peripheral, it probably shouldn't be there. But I think some of the management of data would be great if it can actually free up a GP to not have to punch in forms and forms. I remember my wife was in a job and she had to write everything out in triplicate. Literally write it out again, write it out again. What an absolute farce. Can't we just photocopy it? No, it's got to be securely done. And if it's photocopied, it could be a cheat.
Yeah.
And on and on.
Yes. Well, we've got to use it. If we can. I mean, there's no doubt it's helping in certain areas, which is exciting. It's just how to manage it, really.
Yeah, I was thinking about that just the bias as well. When you go into see a GP, I was always told by and a much older GP, older than yourself. And he said, the thing is, it's the last question, which is the important. It's the doorstep one. It's the one they're asked as they're leaving, which they didn't want to ask you, which they didn't want to ask until they were leaving, that is probably most critical. And he said, that's the one that I'm always waiting for. It's the doorstep question, because it's the one I'm the most concerned about.
Yes, indeed. No, you're quite right. And it's time and time again. They're seeing if they trust you. How have you got on so far? And often it is the most important. But if the time's up, I say to them, that's really important. Come and see me tomorrow. Then we'll do that one.
But if you're stuck into the AI, your true reliance upon it, I don't know. The bigger one, I think, is data. But I think that skills, it's very easy to lose it. I mean, trucking, I drove for years with a manual gearbox. A friend of mine passed his driving test for a truck. I'm going to have an automatic gearbox. I guarantee you won't do for your first job a few years ago. No, I've passed in an automatic. I can drive a manual. I'm not going to have them. Everything's new these days as an automatic. Brand new driver, you're not driving a brand new truck. First truck. How do I use the gearbox? It's manual and it's really complicated. Yes, because you've not been skilled.
Yes. Well, I mean, it applies in all areas, doesn't it?
It does.
There's no getting away from it. But it was an interesting thing because I mean, as I say, it's not my area, but my brother-in-law got me thinking, and it's obviously got him thinking, and he's interested in the area. Except that I think that he underestimates how much some doctors already know about AI, because it's not like it's just started.
No.
But it's and it is exciting what the things it's happening, and no doubt within our lives we will benefit from it. But equally, it's a bit like when you read the fake news on the computer. You cannot believe everything you read. And I guess it'll be the same with AI.
Yeah, which just means, yes, it can help, but if it doesn't help, maybe it should be double checked. And if it says it's all clear, I mean, we've had scares with doctors of, wasn't it a screening for, was it breast cancer at one point? And they realized that, oh no, we've made a massive tragic mistake. We need these thousands of women to come back. I mean, that's human beings. We're going to make mistakes, but the people that made those mistakes are the same kind of people that wrote the AI in the first place, because it's educated intellectual people, because it's complicated, and mistakes are going to happen.
They're going to happen, yeah. Which is, in a sense, fine as long as someone's overlooking it. So we mustn't. And I think people realise it. We mustn't just give AI carte blanche to do whatever it likes. It's got to be overseen.
Yeah, and I think it's using it selectively, which is coming back to the Christian element in the Bible. It's using it with wisdom. Wisdom for me would not be to say, yeah, AI, greatest thing ever. No, it's really not. It has some good uses. Of course it does. But it's not perfect, and it's not going to make up. If you are ill, you don't want to go to hospital and a computer screen arrives with code on it saying, hello, who are you? What's wrong with you? Punch here, click that. You want a human being. I remember one of the most beautiful things. I'm in hospital. I've got AF. My heart is north of 220. I am paranoid. I am terrified. No clue. And the doctor came along, put their hand on my arm, looked in my eyes and said, it's okay. I kind of want to cry thinking about it. AI is never going to be able to do that because God's made people to care for people.
Well, that was that lovely point, wasn't it? That it must, number one, glorify God, and number two, respect human dignity. And if those two criteria are met, then we're talking.
Yeah, and I think on some of the stuff where we can apply AI well, I can see it making massive transformations. I mean, the NHS, I can't comprehend the amount of data the NHS must have that it probably doesn't even know it has. AI probably would do a good job. I've used AI for searches. If I'm trying to look for something specific, I actually said, Grok, search the internet for these bits for me, please. And it did it in literally seconds, and I had the answers. Now, I could have done that, but you know what? It did it faster.
Yeah, much faster.
Indeed. And that's using it for good. I wanted to do something on a piece of software, didn't know how. So I said, look, Grok, this software, how do I do this? And it got the website and it pulled it up faster than I could have found the website, gone through the help, find the right thing. That's using it for good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We like this one. If you like learning about AI, look in Pure Media, the magazine. Andy Brown writes on technology and quite frequently touches upon artificial intelligence. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? He discusses that lots as well. The ethics we will leave for another day.
Trevor Stammer's your man for that one.
Absolutely.
That's his expert area.
Yes. Right, Richard, thank you. This is a pleasure. I didn't see this one coming, but it's of the moment and it's important. If we don't talk about it, other people will. And if we don't talk about it and know about it, our voice will be silenced. I was already seen far too many times.
Yeah. Thank you.
Richard, thank you. Pure Media, the magazine, comes out on the first Friday every month. Our next edition comes out for September, on the 5th of September, and will be crammed full of amazing writers, features, and columns. If that's not enough, we'll be delving deeper into the life and times of Jennifer Benson from US-based Ignescent. And if you love Lego, we'll be chatting with a man who gets to play with Lego every day. That'll be Josh from Go Chatter Studios. The digital version is always freely available online, and you can enjoy a printed subscription and get a copy in your hands too. Just head over to www.puremediathemagazine.com, where we're always on point and always in print.